Howdy y'all, welcome back to Camp Shack Productions. Today I want to talk about something super serious. How do you protect yourself when you're at camp? I also want to point out that I am not anti-gun. As you can see, I actually have everything from a musket loader to my old school pistols. So please, gun people, don't come at me. This is not a slight on you. However, I personally don't believe the gun is the best protection that you can have when you're out. So let's talk a little bit about rifles, pistols, guns, right? So I know that there are a lot of people out there that believe that if you go out camping, you should be carrying a weapon. You should have a rifle, you should have a pistol, you should have something that can stop animals or people. Now, the only time that I take my guns someplace camping is if I am actually going out on a hunt. Other than that, most of the time I'm gonna leave them home, because here is my rationale behind this. Even something as simple as this shotgun, which is basically point and shoot, you actually have to know how to use this, and you have to be able, everything is unloaded. I didn't even bring any shells of any kind, just so you know. But you actually have to be able to point, fire, aim, and work with this. And that goes for any of the rifles I have here, you know. This is my Ducks Unlimited 30-30. I won this at a Ducks Unlimited event. This weapon is probably my lightest, yet most powerful and easily to move around. And even still, it's gonna cause some problems if you're trying to use this and you do not spend a lot of time actually practicing how to fire and shoot a weapon. So we have everything from a musket loader, 12 gauge shotgun, my 30-06 hunting rifle, and my 30-30. These are all of the rifles that I own. And again, this is not something that I would consider excellent for personal defense, especially if you're inside your tent or inside your vehicle, right? So let's move on to pistols. As you can see, I only have two different types of 22 pistols. This is a 22 short. I would actually use this more as like a sound cap gun. And again, everything is unloaded. So this thing would be more of something that I could just kind of shoot up in the air to try to make a noise. But definitely not something that I would use as protection. If a bear comes running at me and I pull out my 22 and shoot at it, well, it's just gonna make the bear mad, right? And we're gonna talk about that in a few different ways here, because that is probably my #1 concern, is a bear. So this thing is definitely not gonna help. This is my 22 longs. This is a great squirrel gun or a great rabbit pistol. But this thing, again, is not gonna work. And you know, I called my friend. I have one buddy that is also a hunter and owns several different guns. And I asked him, I was like, hey, do you ever carry a gun when you go out camping or in the backcountry? And he was like, never once. Again, the only time he carries them is when he's hunting. And he has a pretty powerful hand pistol, but he was saying that with that pistol, he feels like all it would do is make a bear mad. So, you know, I also think about, unless you have somebody on guard overnight that can warn you that somebody's coming, you're not gonna wake up in a state really ready to use a weapon. A pistol, a rifle. I just think that these things could be big mistakes. So let's talk about a couple different things that you can add to your arsenal. If you decide that you don't want to carry a gun, maybe you're thinking, you know what, I'll bring out my samurai sword. This is definitely not a real samurai sword. This is my old school 1980s katana. They actually used to sell these in the mall. But I just brought it as an example. You know, if you're Michonne style and you want to go with the samurai sword, I would actually say that this would probably be better to protect yourself from people. Everything that I'm talking about here is really about people, not about wild animals. So you've got your sword. Imagine if that was a real sword. Good old baseball bat. This is something that I don't think people give enough credit to. Super light, super easy to use, and probably one of the safer options you have here. And you know, if somebody comes at you and you're wielding this thing, they're probably gonna walk away before they come right at you. All right, last in the non-edged weapon category, I got my nunchucks. You know, something that you could really swing around and hit yourself in the head with, especially if you've never practiced with them. You know, these are more of just a deterrent, I think. They're more to scare somebody, not really gonna help you stay alive. And my nunchucks are cool because they break down so that you can stash them in a pocket. So you got your nunchucks. All right, let's talk about the next logical choice here. And that would be those of you that are big time into edged weapons. You know what I'm talking about. You're a knife carrier, you're a hatchet thrower, you've got something like that, and you've decided that I am going to carry my weapons as knives. And you've got the biggest, baddest knife out there. And then, you know, if you're like me, you're obviously a double knife welder. So you gotta have two, right? Got your knives. Do I think that this is a good protection method? No, I do not. I think that your knife is much more useful as far as helping you around camp, doing chores, splitting wood. This is the Harbor Tool and Freight survival knife. Don't buy this, listen. The whole tang, everything is super junky. Go and pick up something that's actually a good blade. And do I recommend you carry these? Yes. Do I recommend you use them for protecting yourself? Absolutely not. These things are, unless you know how to use a knife or you're trained, which I'm not. I mean, aside from, you know, skinning a deer or doing camp tasks with a knife, it definitely is not what you want to use. And something like this, again, it looks really good in the movies, but you're not going to carry this. You're not going to use this. And unless you have a lot of specialized training, it's not going to do you a damn bit of good. So what are the other edged weapons that people like to carry? You know, maybe a hatchet. I saw a lot of thumbnail videos when I was looking at this topic of, you know, people coming out of their tents with their hatchets or things like that. And, you know, my hatchet's even special because it's got a hidden blade. So, again, I'm double bladed. You know, I hear people say, oh, I would throw my hatchet at them or blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? All you're going to do is throw away the one thing that if they got close enough to where you could like smash their hand or something would protect you. So, you know, again, very useful camp tool. Something that you should always have. This little thing is really sharp. It works really good as long as you're using a baton to do something or split wood. But, you know, not a ton of leverage on this thing. So, you know, as far as edge weapons go, again, I don't believe that these are going to save you. They're not going to protect you if somebody's coming after you at night. You know, if somebody's stalking you at your camp. This thing is, you know, again, it might break a hand or something. You might be able to chop somebody's fingers off, but really not going to help you all that much. All right. This is the piece of gear that I recommend that all of you purchase and all of you carry for animal deterrent, for human deterrent. You know, this is the easiest weapon that you could use. If you are really worried about protecting yourself, this thing is going to make it super simple. This is bear spray. All you have to do is remove the safety cap and push down and you've got a giant spray. So I am a huge believer that if you are going to be a pistol user, if you're somebody that goes out, you need 3,000 to 5,000 rounds on a consistent yearly basis to be proficient enough to even hit your target while standing, let alone when adrenaline is rushing, when something's charging at you. You know, there's all of these things that come into play. And when you look at people that spend a lot of time in the outdoors, they usually do carry some sort of pistol. But like I said, it's more of a warning sound. Don't charge at me, bear. Look, I'm loud, I'm big. You don't want anything to do with this. But they also all carry bear spray. Because if you've got something charging at you, if you've got something running at you, it is much easier to get this cap off and just start spraying this stuff. That same thing, if you're in your tent in the middle of the night, if you're sleeping and you are dead asleep and all of a sudden something starts coming into your tent, you can pull this out and just start spraying, just Whereas with the pistol, you have to aim, you have to shoot, you have to know what you're doing. This, you're gonna spray it all over. And yeah, it might get you, but it also probably gonna get your attacker. So at least you have the advantage of both of you not being able to see. But you know, think of that, 3 o'clock in the morning and you just wake up and just start spraying instead of trying to figure out that, oh, I've gotta load my pistol, I've gotta cock it, I've gotta make sure that it's aimed, I've gotta make sure I don't shoot my face off or my foot. You know, so when it really comes down to safety, I think if you wanna carry a weapon, this is the best thing that you can carry, and that is just bear spray. I have a can in the back of my car. I keep it there all the time. When I sleep in my car too, at night, I lock the doors if I'm concerned, right? That gives me an extra barrier. If I'm in my tent, I just put this next to me. I pretty much carry this stuff around all the time. Like I said, I've got a bottle in my car, and I always keep this in my bag that goes in my tent or someplace. And you can see I have a carabiner on here so that I can easily access this. So, if you feel like you need a protection device, a weapon, something to really keep yourself safe, this is what I would recommend, bear spray. It is gonna be you need the least amount of training, it is the safest thing that you can carry, and you can always get access to this and you can always have it, and it is super safe and super simple. Again, the worst thing that happens is both you and your attacker can't see for a little while. At least you're giving yourself a little time, right? All right, now, the last thing I wanna talk about is the most important piece of this as far as I'm concerned, and that is your brain. Your brain is your #1 way to keep yourself safe when you're camping. If you're out and you see wild animals somewhere around your camp, if you see a moose, if you see a bear, really take that into consideration. Make sure that you're storing your food in the proper places. Keep predators away from camp. Thinking is the best way to stop that from happening. Also, if you're in a location and something feels off, if you're like, this doesn't feel good, I don't like it, there's a creepy dude around the corner that I don't like coming near my camp, somebody keeps driving in, whatever that might be, your best option at that point is to leave. If you're not 100%, get out, go home, find a different spot, drive a few more miles, whatever you have to do. But if you've got that weird feeling, get out of that space. You know, one of the things that I started when I started this channel was I tried to do some ghost hunting. I thought it would be really fun. I thought it would be a really interesting way to try to, you know, spice up the channel. So I have spent a ton of time in places that are haunted all over the valley, all by myself in the middle of the night on Halloween, on all those things. And really, I've never felt unsafe. So again, I think if it's something that you notice or something makes you feel like it's not right, just bounce, man. That is your best protection. Just use your head. That is how you stay safe. Lock your doors. Make sure that your tent is in a place where you can see. And you know, remember that when you're inside your tent or you're inside your car and you have your light on, you can't see anyway. If it's really dark out and you don't have night vision, you can't see. If you have a fire glowing, you can't really see past the edge of that fire. So again, use your senses, use your brain, make good decisions. All right, y'all. I know that there are going to be some people that come at me in the comments over this one, especially people that believe in guns. I have no problem with guns. I want you to know that. As long as you are legal, as long as you have training, and as long as you respect the fact that anytime you point this at something, you could end its life, I am all for guns. Now, not all types of guns, but again, sport hunting, things like that, it's something I've done my entire life here in Utah. So I really have no problem with that. But I do think that if this is the route that you decide to go, if you decide that you're gonna go with a rifle, something other than bear spray or maybe a hatchet, the thing that I ask is that you please go out and get some training. Having one of these tools and not knowing how to use it, not knowing how to use it safely, not knowing how to fire it and what it's gonna sound like and how it's gonna feel, basically is worthless. You take these things, you start pointing them around and you think you're in some sort of movie, you don't realize that you have a very small margin of error to make a mistake. And if you don't hit your target, it's gonna cause problems. So really consider that before you go out and pick up a rifle, a shotgun, a handgun. If you're gonna do that, that's fine. First of all, be safe. Second of all, spend a lot of time in training. Other than that, y'all, though, I think bear spray in your brain is the best way to actually protect yourself when you're out camping, when you're out backpacking, if you're out in the wilderness and you're concerned about it. Use this. and think about using this. It's the safest, it's the easiest. All right, y'all, I know a little different video, but it was something that I've seen a lot cropping up lately on YouTube, and I kind of wanted to address it, seeing as how I have some strong opinions on weapons, guns, how you use them, and what really works well. So y'all, thank you for sticking around to this point. Go down in the comments and leave what you use to protect yourself at camp. If you're a gun person, if you're a hatchet person, if you're a bear spray, if you're just, I set the alarm on my car so if somebody grabs onto the door, it beeps and then I know I can drive away. You know, whatever you do to keep yourself safe and protected, leave a comment down below. I really appreciate you getting to this point. If you got anything out of this video, please go down, hit the like button. If you're feeling super generous, subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you all back in the next video. All right. I'm up at a trailhead and I've got all of these rifles and everything out. I got to get them put away before all the fishing people come out and they're like, what is that guy doing? He's got guns, call the cops, ah!
Is different than something that looks fundamentally unsettled.